Where you going, Mike?
Okay. Hello, Miss Biniam. Welcome. Hello, Jasmine. All right. I'm gonna throw it over to Miss Hall, and I will make the agenda a little bigger. All right, we're ready.
Good evening. Welcome to Crawford Long Middle School Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Crawford Long Go Team to order. Our first order of business is roll call. The secretary will now take roll.
Ms. Hill, are you present?
Present.
Ms. Hall, present?
Present.
Mr. Hobson, present? No, okay. Mr. Murphy, present?
Present.
Mr. Webb, present?
Present.
And Ms. Hill, do I call the other people on the list? Yes. Ms. Joanna Thomas, present? Ms. Lanicia Presley, present? Mr. John Kimbrough, present? Okay. We do have a quorum.
The team is only able to take an official action if there is a quorum present. Ms. Delnice, is there a quorum present?
Yes, there is a quorum.
Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here. Please take a moment to review the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please identify yourself or raise your hand. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections?
I'm gonna stop sharing, and if you can pull them up so everyone can review them just in case they did not have a chance to.
How do I get there again? I'm sorry. I'm rusty on my Zoom skills.
Got it. You got it?
I'm just trying to think where to find. I don't remember how to get to where I have the minutes. I could go to no reminders. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, I found it. But I'm not sharing, am I?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Oh. All right. This was from our fourth meeting on January 25th. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So our budget allocation meeting minutes, we met on January 25th, 5:30 p.m. There is a link for you to be able to see that the meetings there. We called to order at 5:32. With the roll call, we had Ms. Hill, Ms. Hall, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Hobson, myself, and Mr. Webb present, and that did establish a quorum. We had an approval of the agenda Motion made by Mr. Webb and seconded by Mr. Hobson. And then we did the approval of the previous minutes, and Mr. Hobson did ask that the college of his graduation be corrected, which has been done. And the motion to approve was Mr. Murphy and then seconded by Mr. Hobson. Our discussion items involved the review of budget development process. And Paul, our chair, read the requirements of compliance in the budget development plan for the Go Team meeting schedule. We need to have a draft conference and subsequent meetings for staffing. And Ms. Hill, our principal, enters the discussion, explains that she was in a principal's budget training, and she states that our schedule is in compliance with the mandatory standards of service in public schools. Ms. Hill outlined the steps for this process, and in the budget allocation presentation, Ms. Hill presents and urges all participants to jump in during the presentation, and the link to that presentation is shared below, and ask questions if needed and to not wait until the end. Some key points of the presentation had to do with the positions, not people, being the most important, that our school needs as a high priority to continue improving reading lexicals. Next year's schedule will shift due to the fact that the intervention block will be modified, and intervention will go back to being incorporated into connections. STEAM certification is the next level for our school, and to recruit and retain highly qualified faculty. Okay, discussion item 2 all asks about funding for educational programs. Hobson asks about keyboarding classes, but this has been replaced with coding STEM. We shelved the parent election until the next meeting, this meeting, and then we adjourned. Motion made by Mr. Murphy, seconded by Paul Hobson at 7:25 p.m.
May I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
I move that the previous meeting minutes be approved as read.
A second.
Jesse Webb, I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
please, or raise your hand. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. The minutes have been approved. I had to find my speech. Our next action item will be to approve,
Should be the parent seat.
yes, the parent seat. Thank you, Ms. Hill. I had to find it. It wasn't in my script for today.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Hall. Well, Go Team, I am excited that we have a parent that I would like to present to you. Our very own Miss Jasmine Bennigan. Did I pronounce that last name correct, Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am.
And she is the mother of a wonderful 7th grade scholar here at Long Middle School who is involved in all facets of our school community. As a matter of fact, I smiled because yesterday when I was looking for her, found her on stage practicing for the Black History program. Anytime we have reached out to Ms. Bennigan, she has always been there. And I just want to publicly say thank you. And I want to, at this time, just open it up to Ms. Bennigan if you want to share anything about yourself and the values that you bring to the Go Team.
Okay. My name is Jasmine Benn. I am Jade Benn mother. I'm a single mother. I'm also a disabled veteran. I work at Georgia Tech Research Institute, so a lot of time I'm out of pocket because I work classified, so I don't always be around my phone sometimes. So if you guys do reach out to me, there's a delay. It's more than likely I'm probably inside of the classified area. I kind of was just asked, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I don't know what's expected of me, but if you guys let me know and just give me a chance to kind of understand what I need or what you guys need from me, I'm here. I try to be as present as I can, especially with my daughter. She's volunteered me for everything. I'm here. I'm that parent. I'm always here. I'm always voluntold that she's my mom sometimes. Hey y'all. Jay, oh, bless. All of this. Ms. Hill, is there anything specific you would
No,
like
that
to
was
share?
perfect. Thank you. Hey, Jay.
Hey.
So team, and when I tell you, when I brought JD in, she was so excited to have her mother, for me to reach out to her mother regarding this opportunity. So Go team, do you all have any questions for Ms. Binion? All right, okay, well, at this time we can start the vote.
Do I? Sorry. But can I have a motion to approve Miss B as our elected parent for our vacant parent seat?
I move.
Can I have a second?
Jesse
second.
Webb, second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? All right, Miss B, welcome to the Go team.
And don't worry, I know you said, what have I got myself into? It's perfect timing. It's the middle of budget season. So I know Ms. Dionese, she'll definitely be reaching out to you. We're all in this together. So you are not the only newbie. We have, most of our members are new to our Go team this year. So we're walking through this journey together. So thank you, Ms. B. We're excited to have you aboard, as well as Jade.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome everyone.
Thank you. We will now move to our next item, the budget development presentation.
So team, I am going to share my PowerPoint, and this is the actual budget feedback presentation. All right, can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
All right, so welcome to our budget feedback meeting. So the first budget meeting that we had was where I just showed you the allocation, how much was given to us. So as a reminder, when I shared the allocation, we all saw that our funds had been severely cut due to us coming off the turnaround list. So we did come off the turnaround list. What that means that they removed the turnaround funds that we received. So up until the last few minutes, I have been trying to balance this budget. I desperately need your feedback. This is not final. As I go through this, you will, I need like honest feedback before I have to go to staffing conference and budget conference next week. All right, so as a reminder, our norms, this is a meeting of the Go team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. Also, we invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. Also, Ms. Binion, you are officially a member now, so feel free to ask questions. You're all in, so you are officially a member now. We will follow the agenda as noticed to the public and stay on task. And last but not least, we will respect all ideas and assume good intentions. I really want to stress this one because we will be discussing some areas where we had to reduce in order to balance the budget. And once again, just know that we had to cut and know that the cuts were solely based off of our strategic priorities and it was done with good intention. So the Go team budget development process, you see this roadmap, your school strategic plan that we have approved and it has been in our hands, in our forefront. It is our roadmap and your role. Also, it is your direction, your priorities, your vision, your present, as well as your future. So we are now down at step number 4, budget choices. So as you know, we went through step number 2 when we first started our Go Team back in our first Go Team meeting back in September. We did our strategic plan review, our budget parameters, as well as identified our strategic priorities. And now we're at budget choices. So overview of the FY24 Go Team budget process. And remember, we're planning and developing the budget for next school year. So we're now at step 5, Go Team feedback sessions, draft budget presented and discussed. February, they say multiple meetings, but hopefully after today, we can land at a place where I can present it during my staffing conference on next Thursday. All right, let me go back one. And you'll see the next step. So next week, I have staffing conference on next Thursday, where based off of your feedback today, I will have to tweak things and get it ready to present to the district office, both finance, human resources, the Office of Schools, as well as the Office of Academics for approval. After that, we will have our final Go Team meeting for the final approval of the budget. So budget feedback meetings, what? The Go Team feedback sessions should be scheduled for the principal to provide an overview of the school's draft budget for the Go Team members and general public. Why? This meeting provides an opportunity for Go Teams to discuss how the school's budget has been allocated to support the programmatic needs and key strategic priorities. When? So our meeting is happening today. Meetings must be held in February before staffing conferences. You all get to go on a break. I don't get the break, but y'all get the break. So I had to make sure I did it today so I can have my staffing conference next week. It may be combined with the allocation meeting, but we didn't have to do that because we were on schedule and on pace. If the Go Team has completed strategic plan updates and ranked strategic priorities, which we have done all of those. Any questions thus far? No, y'all ready to see the money. So this is a reminder of what, and this was on the last presentation. This is strictly based off of our priorities. So our priorities in all of our strategic plans, we said we want to improve reading lexicals as well as math performance via intervention classes. The rationale was to create dedicated courses during connections for students to receive specific interventions, transitioning from to specific classes, which will allow instructional time to be added back to the core classes. That's a lot that I said, but right now for the last 2 years, we did school-wide intervention. And what that meant was time had to be taken away from core classes as well as connection classes, where everyone was teaching Read 180, Math 180, and System 44. However, what we're seeing now, the students are doing well in their progress, and we have less students who actually need the intensive intervention, but we desperately need to add more time back to the core classes. So we went from about 58 to almost, it was about 60 minutes, all the way down to right now, we're right at about 48, 50 minutes. So we need every single minute in regular core classes. Also, we need to add the time back to instructional planning, which will allow teachers to dig deeper into planning their lessons, as well as practicing their lessons for the students. Next, continue to enhance the implementation of STEM, and that should also say STEAM school-wide program. We will continue consistent STEM/STEAM and problem-based learning support for staff and students. Provide ongoing professional learning to support staff with the transition toward obtaining Georgia's STEAM certification. So as a reminder, we do have our national STEM certification. However, we were the last school that was allowed to get the national STEM certification. Now all schools must get the Georgia STEAM certification, which is a very rigorous process. So it's a huge shift for everyone, the students as well as the teachers. So we want to make sure that we support the transition. Last but not least, recruit, develop and retain highly talented faculty and staff, provide internal and external professional learning opportunities, ensure that instructional coaches are provided professional learning opportunities that are redelivered to teachers and consistently monitored. All right. So, descriptions of strategic plan breakdown categories. So on the slides after this, you're going to see some different categories. So the first category is priorities. FY24 funding priorities for school strategic plan are ranked by order of importance. And what that was is when we voted two meetings ago on what were our top priorities, and that is what has driven the budget development. You'll see a column that says specifically the priority. Then you'll see another column that says APS 5 focus area. And basically that is what part of the APS 5, which is the district initiative, is the priority aligned to. Strategies, you'll see it lays out specific objectives for school improvement. So you'll see action steps there. Requests, you will see by ask, what needs to be funded in order to support the strategy, and amount, you will see an approximate cost associated with the request. So the next subsequent slides will, and you kind of see the examples, and we're going to pause so that I can entertain questions as I show the next slide. I know it's small, but I'm going to go through it, okay? So based off of our ranking of priorities, this is the breakdown. So priority 1, we said we wanted to improve student mastery of reading, language arts, math, social studies, and science content knowledge. So that falls up under APS 5 for fostering academic excellence. With that, we want to provide the strategies to provide Math 180, Read 180, and System 44 intervention courses do a connection. The request is to purchase. I gotta mute somebody, hold on. Right. The ask is to purchase a reading intervention teacher as well as a math intervention teacher for connection intervention classes. Now, this particular request is approximately $181,838. And basically you take that and divide it by 2. That's the average cost, including benefits, and that's medical as well as retirement benefits for the average employed teacher. So that number is given to us from the district level. So that ask is an additional $181,000, well, almost $182,000. What this means is by doing this, we'll get more instructional time back in the core classes, which if you have staff members on here, is desperately needed. So we will see that benefit not just with the intervention classes, but also with all core classes. I'm gonna pause there. Now, this is the thing, remember we were in the red when we just talked last time, we were in the red almost $200,000. What that means is something else had to be cut to get us out of the red, as well as to get these 2 positions. Any questions about the first priority?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as far as the because I know when I was in middle school, I know it was a little while ago, but we used to always have an extra period, you know, as far as like maybe like a life skills or something like that kind of pertains that they could connect with. Like we'll do like we used to have an intervention period. We used to call it coordination when I was in middle school, where each day of the week we were with a certain content. Like you might do math on Monday, and we'll do the balance of checkbooks, and then on Tuesday we're doing science. We kind of do like a life aspect of science. You know, they were kind of, you know, they're not just always focused just on the core per se, but they kind of are venturing doing other things within the core curriculum that makes sense. So I want to get your idea on that and see if that's possible.
I'm glad you asked that. So the other part that people don't see with our structure, we're required to do the SEL block. That is a mandate. So that time, now we can be creative. We have to use second steps. We could be creative in how we do that piece. So when you think about the day, that's roughly 20 minutes every day. And then we had the whole school-wide block, which took, that was that school-wide intervention block, which was 40 minutes. So then that took it away. So as we are working on the I will tell you, we're now developing the master schedule. Maybe we can call it, and I feel where you're going, because there is a need, and I'm not gonna call it study hall. There is a need for a non-instructional block, but an instructional block for tutorials, for addressing gaps, so that we can possibly look at doing something creative, maybe either in the morning on a Friday, or looking at some schools have what they call a flex period. But the thing you have to do is make sure it is structured, so you're not losing instructional time. That's the key piece with it. But so the next part in March, what I call March Madness, you're going to see Pendergrass start unfolding and getting feedback from all stakeholders about our master schedule. So that's a piece, Hobson, when we put that email out to get input on the master schedule, definitely lift that. The question is, where does it fit in the day so that we're still in compliance with state mandate for the amount of time for each class, as well as that mandatory SEL block?
So with SEL block, would it be even a little longer? Since I know now it's what, barely 20 minutes. Was it 9:15 to 9:30?
Yeah, we had still some time off of it when we did intervention. So we may be able to extend a few minutes, yeah.
Okay, so that's part of the time is taken away too, is SEL. Okay.
Yep. But definitely make sure you bring that to the forefront when we start doing scheduling input meetings.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, implement STEM program model that falls up under fostering academic excellence. Implement STEM/STEAM problem and project-based learning, as well as CER model. Kudos to the teachers. They've been doing excellent with shifting to the CER, which is plain evidence reasoning model. Continue to fund a STEM/science instructional coach. Now, our instructional coach does not make that kind of money. That's what benefits and all of they work extra days. So I had to put that up there because that position was actually on CARES funding last year. It has now been moved back to our general budget and coming out of our signature program. So that's approximately, on average, because they take the average of the high, the low, including benefits, $114,143.
I'm getting cheated. Y'all get me for a steal.
Trust me, nobody's seeing that. With the benefits, oh, I'm glad I said that. And also the cost of benefits has drastically increased. So that what you're seeing is an inflation in benefits, the part that the district actually pays. All right, recruit, develop, and retain highly talented faculty and staff, equipping and empowering leaders and staff, provide targeted professional learning opportunities and development focused on research-based practices. Continue to fund a math and ELA instructional coach. I apologize, but the budget got cut. I've always wanted a social studies instructional coach, but the budget was cut once again. You will see some slides further down that if we get extra funds, I'm going to ask for your input to see if that's something that you all would like to put on there for a social studies instructional coach or master teacher leader. But right now with the reduction, we just want to maintain what we have. And the cost for two, basically it's the same cost of the 114,143 times 2. All right, inform and engage school families, partners, and community members, creating a system of school support. So build parent, family, and community capacity and engagement for all nationalities to understand student academic as well as whole child needs through town halls, curriculum nights, workshops, and after school all-stars. And here my ask was to purchase a full-time parent liaison. So last year's budget, we had a part-time, an hourly. In October, November, we received some extra funding. We did convert it to a full-time, and I'm proud to announce that we just onboarded, I think she started last week, a full-time parent liaison. So we want to just continue that. That cost, including benefits, is approximately $46,316. Last but not least, prepare all students to have essential life skills, social and emotional. Building a culture of student support, implement social and emotional learning, SEL, as well as restorative practices, implement strategies to motivate, engage, build self-directed scholars with a sense of autonomy, choice, and responsibility in their actions. So here my ask is for us to continue to fund 3 counselors, a clinical therapist. Let me note about the clinical therapist. That clinical therapist was before on turnaround funds. That budget was taken away from us. So my ask was to move that to, because my ask was to move that position to general funds. So now it's not called a turnaround clinical therapist, but a clinical therapist, as well as continue with our full-time social worker, continue with our full-time MTSS specialist, as well as other wraparound supports. The approximate cost of this ask is $654,851. I'm gonna pause there and see if you have any questions. And I will talk about positions in terms of trade-offs and then entertain any additional questions. Questions for me? I see you looking, Hobson.
I mean, I do have a question, but I want to wait for other people if they have a question. I don't want to be dominating, you know, with so many questions.
That's fine.
If anybody wants to, anybody?
Just sharing the air.
No, go ahead, Hobson.
Okay, so as far as the social and emotional, because I mean, that's a really big piece that we as teachers been talking about, and even parents talked about it. Like, so I had an IEP meeting today, and one of the parents was just kind of a little perturbed about, you know, the fact that, you know, it's kind of like they, from what they know, it's like really no support for the teachers. That came from the teachers. I mean, from the parents' mouth, he felt like there's not support for teachers as far as like, you know, when kids are, you know, misbehaving, you know, how they're getting directed or where they're going. He's pretty much said based on what he saw, it's almost like they're kind of just going around, you know, doing things and not really being, you know, held accountable for their action. And I think that this portion right here is kind of addressed that, I'm assuming, because I see restorative practices. So what type of ideas can we put within this budget, like to actually, you know, have restorative practice as far as like with discipline and with behavior problems?
So that starts with the overall, it's a couple of components of that. So I think it starts with revisiting the behavior plan, which has to be in alignment with the district's behavior student code. And the other part about, and you could put principal in there too. You said teachers being supported. You could put principal in there and administrators being supported.
Sorry, yeah.
You got to remember it's bigger than us.
Yeah.
Here at the local school, so you can put all us in there. We're all in
Okay.
I think looking at current systems and practices, I would tell you in an ideal world, when we had the $750,000 to come off of a turnaround list, it would have been ideal to have a restorative or a what do they call behavior therapist or a restorative
Practice coach.
Yep, and they had a restorative practice coach, but because the funds are gone, we don't have that money anymore. So now we have to think about what strategies, utilizing the personnel that we currently have, can we put in place. Also, we have to do a big ask of the district in terms of if they have external people, like for instance, I know they just created a position at the district level in the Office of Student Discipline. That's supposed to be some personnel to help come out with and support the restorative piece of schools. Once again, I think that's more focused on the student, but the question is in terms of staff. It really goes back to our practices, and you also got to look at the student code. So I will tell you on Monday, y'all get the sneak peek of this. On Monday, we will be virtual. I am going to officially announce it tomorrow. I've been holding out. Don't be cheering, y'all. I've been holding out to see if the district's gonna pop something and we had to be somewhere face to face. I've been holding out. But we will be going through a training. It's 4 hours, but I'm not doing that to us. We do 2 hours on trauma resiliency. I know some of us did a class, but our clinical therapist and a counselor is going to lead part 1 of that session. But we're gonna have to, Hobson, can I be just flat honest? We're gonna have to think about it we're gonna have to create that in the building. And then ask the guy who comes over from SEL, we can bring him in I forgot his name. We can ask him if there's something that he can do to support us as well.
And then too, you know, depending on the level of the situation, we use Ms. Stinson, our counselors, as well as Ms. Barksdale in certain situations to de-escalate the situation between students. Sometimes students have stay away contracts, or they might have some type of other thing that they've worked out, because usually it's the teacher. Because I mean, the teacher's always the first line of defense in their routines and their behavior plan for their classroom. And then from there, if that escalates, then you bring in the administrator, but usually teacher is the first line of defense. But Ms. Hill was saying, yeah, we could have an SEL coach maybe do a PD to kind of give us some restorative practices that to teach us, to give us, to add to our repertoire as teachers, educators. That would be good. But yeah, but people are utilized in the building though. Just have to kind of reach out at times.
Well, no, even with I mean, you gotta realize, I'm sorry, Ms. Hall, I'll let you go. But even with the staffing, like if you got 100, 200 kids misbehaving, it's only 3 staff members. We have to be honest, like.
Our discipline data does not say that. And I just
Huh?
our discipline data, believe it or not, in this building, the ones who are chronic, we only have out of 700 kids, we only have, I think it's 28 that are chronic. Really and truly. I know, but did you participate in the first meeting to look at the data about, and the other part is when there was a session Danny led on a Tuesday, a couple of Tuesdays ago.
Yeah, I was there.
And when we dissected the data, most of the discipline incidents are happening in the classrooms, which is directly correlated to when there's not bell-to-bell teaching.
Yep, engagement.
We need to support teachers on now that's not to say, because we know we have some, I don't care how engaged they are, they may tear it up. And I will tell you, we've done an excellent job this year of, if we couldn't support it, finding them another location. We have done probably one of the best jobs of middle schools in the district. But we're gonna really have to look at, for teachers who may need that additional support, how do we support them?
And even speaking to that data, Ms. Hill just spoke to, the data showed that suspensions for fighting the year before compared to now had been reduced.
Drastically.
Had been drastically by like 50–60%. So it's definitely a change, a shift in culture in the building. But you know, those things take time though. But yeah, it's definitely a shift based on the data.
Okay, Missy, I do have a question before we move on. I saw that it's for the social and emotional, it said, and other wraparound supports. So are we gonna get ISS back?
So guess what? ISS, so I'm gonna tell y'all, ISS, no, we don't have money for an ISS person.
Okay.
The thing is, when we had ISS, the students who went to ISS were the students who were performing the lowest. And it was because they kept getting in trouble, so it was their escape from actually doing the work.
Okay, so
what we're doing is sending them off the grade level. We've been doing
I'm one of the rooms. My room is one of the rooms. So are we gonna, like, the students in room? Because I know a lot of times some students just want to go somewhere where it's quiet so they can mentally de-escalate. Because a lot of times we're in the classroom, I can say, no, stop, don't go stand in the hallway, but truly they just need some time, some quiet.
We are doing the Zen room. I'm smiling because yes, we are doing the Zen room.
Okay.
And the thing is, we can use current, and that's also why, in terms of what had to be cut, based on the data and our priorities, none of our wraparound, I put that because none of our wraparound services are going to be cut. None of those positions will be cut. So that means if it's a counselor who has to man that area, or maybe we put the little quiet beanbag chairs in the counselor suite or area. Yes, we do. And the thing is, we can do that with this current budget that we're in right now.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure they had a quiet space. That's it.
They just can't be in there by themselves.
Yeah. Understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they just have something, because even when, because we had ISS, I was in middle school, and ISS is differently when I was in ISS in middle school. ISS, you actually are supposed to be where that's the whole purpose of ISS, to go in and to get the work done. So people not getting their work done, so okay, now you're really defeating the whole purpose of what ISS is about.
And the other part was, in order to be legally in compliance with special ed, you have to have a certified teacher in there. So that's another, so what the other part, when I was in school, I almost said when I had to go to ISS. So when I was in school, don't look at me in that tone of voice. When I was in school, that it was an actual teacher who was in there, certified teacher. It shifted and got watered down when they start putting a para in there who is not certificated. So therefore, that piece about instruction was not there.
Hmm.
I don't know what kind of ISS y'all had, because at Silver Middle School, it was up under the gym. And if you didn't have work, you had to copy the dictionary. So
Mhm.
I loved ISS.
Ms. Hill, it also still counts against your suspension days as well.
Thank you for sharing. Oh, I forgot. That's the master right there. Yep. I will tell you all one of the asks. There are some hourly positions. If some kind of way magically we get some more money, then maybe we could not fund a full-time person, but possibly look at, if money comes along from somewhere, an hourly behavior person. The only piece about that, you would have to find someone who's willing to not have benefits and come in, and you need somebody that's licensed. They have to be licensed to do it. So it's definitely, it's not saying it's not possible, it's just not possible with this budget right now, but you'll see on some slides that we can put it there as if we find any funding to possibly bring that person. Any other questions before we go to the next slide?
I have a thought about something that was said about we have not a lot of new teachers this year. And from what I've seen, a lot of them are doing a really good job. They're really, working with getting support. But I do, and this has gone on for a few years. We have that art position that keeps changing. Our staff keeps changing. And at the beginning of the year, before our current art teacher was hired, I asked repeatedly that, because this was going to be a new teacher, no experience, coming in after the start of the year, to see if her classes, or whoever it might have been, could be leaner, to give a brand new teacher a chance to ease into being a teacher, being in the connections building, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think that was necessary.
It wasn't possible. Let me tell you why. When you take the number of connection classes and you got to make sure everybody's in the class, it's hard to, and also make sure you don't go over the class size. It's impossible to make a class leaner. Now it will be possible when we add those two classes to the reading and the math intervention, because they will actually give. I will also tell you that one of the areas, because our strategic plan says we were focusing on core classes, and we already cut core classes last year. Remember, we cut social studies and science core classes for 6th and 7th grade. This year, in order to get us back in the red, I did have to cut, I'm proposing cutting one of the connection classes that was onboarded when we had extra funds. So, because we haven't always had like all of the classes. So there was a class, it was a dance class that was actually added. And because we're having to cut back, and we added that class when we got the extra $750,000. So now making sure we meet the needs of the instructional piece for reading and math. And also those classes can hold more students, the reading and math class. But that art class, now we probably need to look more at a tier support for her. However, there's nowhere in the budget that will allow me to reduce her class size because she's a brand new teacher. It's just unrealistic.
Well, I've been part of Connections for 17 years now, and I know that there have been a lot of times when there have been imbalances, and some Connections teachers have smaller classes while others have bigger.
So a conversation happened where we actually created a chart, and therefore that's why also we changed to now you have to have like a general class or intro class for some of those classes, because you can't sit in there making full salary with 5 students in a class. We cannot do that. Otherwise, I need to make it a 0.5, split it, and share you with another school. So feasibly with FTE, the way they allot teachers to us, we honestly that cannot happen. And Ms. Pendergrass, our AP over scheduling, had a meeting with all of the connection classes. So we did start shifting. We're gonna have to shift some more. Some people may be uncomfortable with it, but there's no way financially we can afford for only 10 kids to be in a class when we have a full FTE for that class. Now, for certain classes that are performance-based, the class size is a little bit smaller than, let's say, for instance, a reading class or a math class, just because it's a performance-based, but that's set by the district and the state. Great questions and feedback. So I will tell you the areas that we, nothing, I'm proposing not touching anything with wraparound services nor core classes. The areas in terms of cutting in order to get us out of the red, and also add the 2 reading intervention teachers, as well as the reading intervention teacher and the math intervention teacher, was strictly around connections as well as some administrative positions. Nothing with core classes or wraparound services. Any additional questions? All right. And we were blessed with an additional year of CARES funds. We initially thought we were not going to have any CARES funds. So we were blessed with $304,919 for next year. And they have told us that this was the final year of CARES funds. We could not add any positions to CARES funds. Only the existing positions that were already on CARES funds could stay. So those existing positions were 3 paraprofessionals. Those are the instructional paras, such as that are on each hallway. So those are those support. Those are not special ed paras. Those were the instructional support paras. Also bringing back communities in schools. That contract is $80,000. And then also putting in the hourly teacher tutors. We are working to get that off the ground for March. We've been having some transportation challenges in terms of making sure that we could provide transportation for the students to go back home after school or on Saturdays. So I think we are over that hurdle. So we will be reaching out to staff members regarding being teacher tutors for this year as well as continuing for next year. You would notice that the amount is very small because by the time you actually look at the salaries of the 3 paraprofessionals plus the contract for communities and schools, it was very, we also put a line item for some teacher stipends in this one as well. I will tell you on the general budget, with the exception of $20,000 that we put in supplies, everything went straight to salaries. Y'all hear me? Everything went straight to salaries on our general budget. Oh, one additional thing. I did put transportation because our after-school programming for transportation, believe it or not, for after-school all-stars and any after-school buses, on average, it runs us about $85,000 to $90,000 a year to run 2 to 3 buses.
So
Go
Georgia
ahead.
State doesn't pay for the after-school all-star buses?
Nope.
Did they ever?
They did years ago, probably 2012, 2011.
Yeah, it was like,
So they're funded by grants. So if you know, I know you all probably know they cut staff during the summer. Their grants have been running out. They are barely holding on. All they can do is just provide the salaries. So that and some schools don't even provide transportation for the after school all-stars. That has come out. I've been paying it for the last, at one time they split it with me. They had enough money to split it. For the last 5-6 years, it's totally been coming from us. I didn't want to say no to the program, especially if we could find funds to fund it.
I thought they were paying for that, so they're not paying for that.
You ought to see that bill to come in here every single month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We never have enough.
It's It's about 85,000. Oh, and also y'all remember me telling y'all the cost of buses is going up this year. It's going from $3.73 per mile to $9.12 per mile, or 21 cents per mile, plus all of the extra fuel and all that stuff. Great questions. All right. So this one, I'm still waiting on the final Title I Family Engagement Funds. Normally we get about $15,000 for this. That we use this to pay for like any kind of supplies we need for the parents sitting up in the front. When we do those the nights, like the balloons and stuff we doing for the parent night that's coming up on tomorrow. With that, it's very strict. We cannot buy food. We can buy what they call light refreshments with approval. But for that, it's 15,000. Normally that goes towards supplies, information materials, and then if we can squeeze in some light refreshments, but we cannot pay for food, like regular food out of that. But normally that's about 15,000 every year for this particular. All right, so this is where we have landed. The budget function. So this is once everything was zeroed out. You will notice that once again, our projection is 675, which is down slightly. In terms of instruction, you will see that that is where the money that we had, once again, I tell you, everything except for $20,000 that was left over, everything was totally on the tab for salaries. The $20,000 went towards instructional supplies. You all, it cost us in terms of instruction, that's for the operation of the school, the paper, all the stuff we need. Normally that budget is about $200,000. So I know y'all like, what in the world, where we gonna find the extra money from? For supplies, that's not including money. And so the other wish, I think it's on 3 more slides down. The other wish is that I want to expand the knowledge of people in the building so that hopefully you all can go to conferences, virtual or face-to-face, so you can get some learning outside of just the building, as well as share your learning. So that is an ask, but right now we have literally everything on salaries and $20,000 on instructional supplies. Oh, one additional thing, the district did fund certain stipends. They did athletic stipends, they did department chair stipends for next year, and they did some performance-based like stipends for band and some other performance-based that when they have to go to festival and everything. They did pick up that cost for us. However, on CARES funds, I did put a few dollars for additional stipends that we may be able to give for people doing things outside of their normal duties and responsibilities.
Did the district, are they doing that just for us or all of the schools? Okay.
They're doing it for all. So pupil services, that's anything in terms of funding for like cafeteria, the site, the operations, the site manager, all of that falls up under here, or any kind of like special, like transportation, all that falls up under, or they have a separate line for transportation, because I don't have it on, you didn't have any money for transportation on general. Instructional, improvement of instructional services. So that's our 2210. You'll see there's about, so this one is actually personnel. So that may be, for instance, it's not a coach. That may be an MTSS person. It's like support positions for instruction. Instructional staffing training, you'll see that that's zero because we don't have funds right now. But you're gonna see how much holdback money we have, as well as how much the district is holding in reserve. Educational media services, that all by law, all schools have to have a media specialist or a person for their media center, whatever they decide to call them. Ours is a media specialist. And actually all schools this year for APS have to have a media specialist. School administration, I would tell you this one has gone down. It has gradually gone down every year. These are administrative positions. Those we're dwindling those. And then also maintenance and operation, that's also additional support for, as well as resources for the overall environmental part of the building. And you see on this budget, there's nothing for transportation. That transportation line is coming out of CARES. Any questions about this? Hobson, I see you looking.
I mean, it's a little overwhelming and just, you know, it's just like we just never have enough. You hear me? It's like we just never have enough. And like I said, when I go to other schools, they don't have these conversations. It's just like, okay, you need this, let's just get it done. But it's like us, it's like, well, we gotta find the money. And I think that's frustrating because I think that's where the kids are struggling at the most.
I tell you, most schools took, unless they went on a turnaround list or on a state list, a lot of schools are taking a hit. A lot of schools are taking a hit.
And that's why I think it's important.
The other piece is, especially decreasing in enrollments that we're seeing. So you got to also remember, so just so y'all can know the journey, this budget is very, very, very high compared to when I first got the loan, and we only have 453 students. So we have built this big thing now that we have gotten used to, and now our population, they're taking the money from us because of turnaround. Our enrollment is dwindling. Now, I'm glad you said that. Thank you, Hobson. At all costs, you all, I touched other stuff, so I did not have to reduce class size. Right now, we are way under the actual approved, state-approved class size. Did y'all know y'all supposed to have 28 to 32 kids sitting in the classroom, unless it's special ed?
Well, I heard that, and that's crazy. Even with that number, it's like, well, why would they come with that number? Like, where did they get these numbers
It's
from?
a calculation. It's based off of the state. So it's a calculation by class size. So there's an equation. So that's not an APS thing. There's an equation by the state that they actually give you funding per pupil based off of a certain class size. So they take that class size and they divide it. So honestly, if you really take our population and divide it by the class size, I'm probably supposed to cut about 7 teachers out of this building. I have not.
And then when they say 32, are they saying 32? They don't have learning deficits, or are they saying 32 kids in general? No matter what kind of.
Like for instance, for Kotal, you would have a total of 32, but you could have 18 done, and then the rest, 18 special ed and the rest. It's really supposed to be that way. The only way it's smaller is if it is a resource class. That is how, so you got to know that is how we're actually funded. What I have done is cut some other places. By all means, I wanted to keep it. I was trying my best to not increase our class size, y'all.
And I guess it's almost like it's like a one size fit all type of budget. It's like, okay, because this school, because everybody, it's saying everybody has to do it, but it's not keeping in mind that each school is different.
So that's why we went to the funding model. Had we been doing the old way before we started doing SSF, before when I up until 5 years ago, I could not add additional teachers. They said, Lisa, you get 15 teachers, that's all you get. You can't add 2. I have added to it because I have the flexibility to do it. So actually our budget in APS, we're good. Now, when I talk to my colleagues in other districts, if they say you get 20 teachers, you get 20 teachers. And y'all just all in there piled on top of each other. But at least they have given us flexibility to move funds around so I could reduce your class size. I was committed to keeping your class sizes as small as possible.
Well, I appreciate that. It's not you. I know I'm preaching to the choir. It's just, you know.
I know you know it's not me, but I really like, and it was hard, like, you know, I can't discuss like, because it's certain positions, it's only one person in the position, but like, I have to cut somewhere. And honestly, I just want you all, even though I won't be with you in the future years, unless I don't know if we're gonna be, but as this enrollment declines, you're all gonna have to cut teachers. Because actually, when they gave us a budget, the first thing they told us to do was to take out our calculator and start dividing the total number of students by class size. And this is how many. Like for instance, 8th grade, believe it or not, there's a slide somewhere, I don't know where. 8th grade has the smallest class size because your projections are actually projected to be the smallest in the building next year. So they actually wanted, and depending on how it lands, we may wind up having to shift because 6th grade is heavy. We may wind up having to shift a teacher from 8th grade to 6th grade, depending on what happens in August when the kids get here. But they do it based off of enrollment, the class size that by law, that's how they allot the number of teachers to. I have the flexibility, or we have the flexibility in APS to move funds to keep reducing their class size. So also you may not know, like for instance, these 4-man teams, the only way we can have like 4-man teams, believe it or not, is with REP and gifted teachers. So in terms of just flat out ELA teachers, we don't have enough ELA teachers to put one, like on 8th grade, one per like 3, and then 2 with 3, and 3. The only way that we've been able to do it is to actually utilize a gifted teacher that we have earned, REP that we have earned. Because technically they really want us to go to a teacher being dual certified and teaching 2 periods of science and 2 periods of social studies. So, and then some schools, honestly, this year they have to do it. They're doing 3-man teams now.
Oh, that's the worst.
I've done that in middle school. We went through that in middle school. At the 8th grade, we had 3 teachers. The one that was teaching both 2 subjects. So I can see that.
I tried, honestly, when I sat there, when I first got the budget, that was proposed to me. Like, you may have to go look at people's certification.
Do they get paid more?
Nope.
Oh, no, don't look at that.
And they don't get an extra prep. Now, next year, we are required to offer Algebra 1. We have, believe it or not, about 22 students who qualify to take high school Algebra 1 in 8th grade based off of their trend data, as well as 8th grade high school physical science. What that means is we have to find either one of our current teachers or a new teacher, if we have a vacancy, will have to be high school certified or add on. But there's no way we can purchase an additional teacher. So that also means that we may have to collapse, because if you're teaching an algebra class and a regular math, 8th grade math class, those are 2 totally separate curriculums, and you really need 2 math preps to prepare for those classes.
So they're not going to be doing it online, any like that?
So they presented us with 3 possible models. The online class would be, so for the math class, it's not, how can I put it? It's through Edgenuity.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And they need some support with that. Algebra 1 especially, they need some support. It's different if they've taken like personal health or one of those other classes, but that Algebra 1 where you need some, that conceptual understanding.
Mhm.
So what happened, the teacher, although they may be, like, let's say for instance, when our teachers did not get certified and did not get high school certified, they would actually kind of basically co-teach. So they watch the videos,
Mhm.
and then the teacher of record would actually come in and actually reinforce what they have learned. Because
Yeah,
it's hard to learn Algebra 1 online. Like, the kids are different these days, but for me, it will be hard. All right, let me show you. I got a couple more. So this is just a pie. You see where all of our money is going, right there. This pie, these little pieces here, this is pupil services. The gray is improvement of instructional services. I think this little slither, education and media services. The 9% is school administration. So you see where the majority is going straight to instruction. Yeah. So this is where I need your input, and I'm going to come out of presentation mode. I think it'll let me. So leveling reserves. The district held back $99,682 just in case we don't meet projection. So that means if the enrollment is under 675, rather than saying we got to take all these teachers, they hold back some. And then if you meet projections, they'll give you this money back. But if you surpass it, they'll give you additional money back. Now, I need input from you. I'm going to come out so I can type on this PowerPoint. If this money is released, where should we put it? Let me do it. Yeah. I'm just going to kind of put some things here, and then I clean up the slide. Come off mute and let's talk. I'm all ears. And remember, for this right now, everything is on staffing. The only place we have money is under 20,000 under instructional supply. So where do we want to put things? And you just popcorn them out. I'm gonna just jot them in this chart.
What about printers? Printers in the classrooms.
What?
Don't worry, I can get that this year.
You hear me?
Uh-huh. I
That
can
was
do that
kind
this year. I can do that this year. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
I'm jotting.
Sorry, Mr. I didn't hear what Mr. Hobson was.
He said,
He asked about printers.
you don't have a
Okay.
printer?
Well, I have a printer, but I ran out of toner, and then the lady that deals with technology.
We just bought, so I couldn't. APS.
So he needs toner in the classroom.
So APS had a special contracted deal with, I think it was Xerox, and something is going on with that agreement. So I have, get with Ms. Sinkfield tomorrow. I have actually went ahead and started buying ink out of our budget. I can't wait for them to work out the kinks of the program. We need ink in this building. So we just ordered a bunch. It was delivered today. So do you need a printer or do you need ink?
It says that it's the thing. I have ink. It says the toner. I don't know.
Toner is ink.
Well, I put ink in it and it said I need toner. So I don't know.
Well, we'll come look at it tomorrow.
I'll look at it tomorrow, but you don't need a printer in the class. You got 'em.
Could we, I know it makes no sense, but I want to add something positive. That will encourage the students to just celebrate them more. What it is, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but I just want to add something that encourages them.
I know the last meeting we talked about incentive, a PBIS system, incentive-based, something incentive-based doing that, pushing that initiative.
And I'm not even talking about PBIS, because I feel like people throw out PBIS, but everybody hasn't been trained in PBIS, because I haven't been trained in PBIS.
What type of awards? Because so let me tell you the reason why I'm asking this, because it's two separate budgets. If it's clothing or food, we can't put it on this sheet.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't want it to be clothing.
That's why I struggle. I don't know what we can buy off of.
I know that I'm the culprit for stealing or borrowing the bands that you have. That's my reward. The stress balls. You just but I want it to be something else. I can't put my finger on it, but I want to look at something positive.
I know that if we wanted to, I did it for my son's school. I went to Wendy's, those little junior Frosty.
No, I don't want those. I really want a vending machine, like the book vending machine.
Got big ticket thing. Now, big ticket type things. Let's go get this 99.
I want a vending machine.
For incentive?
You know how we got the book machine? I want the vending machine.
Vending machine was what?
We get a kid's coins.
Yeah.
Put stuff inside of it.
Yes. We can come up what's gonna be inside of it later, Murphy. We're trying to spend this money.
Isn't that's
a good way.
And
they like those phone cases and stuff. You can get one of them vending machines they got at the airport. It has all the tech stuff in it, stuff they need for their phones.
But it'll be a variety of things.
It just wouldn't be all the same thing. That's vending.
One thing that I like to give out to my students of the month, and they love it, which could go in the vending machine, would be things like those little blow bubble thingies, so you can blow bubbles.
Oh no.
In the class, in school,
Oh, and also,
Jason, what you over there thinking? I see your head turned sideways. What you thinking?
No, I was just thinking, I mean, they said they didn't want clothes, but you know, we have a ton of resources at Caring for Others, and we are trying our best to
No,
connect
we
with the
want
community.
clothes. We just
Oh,
can't.
no, we just can't put clothes on him,
We
Mr.
just can't
Webb.
put it on this one. We need clothes.
So what I was thinking was like spend this money how you all need to spend the money, but I can, you know, sit down with the powers that be at Caring for Others. And we've already been talking about like, you know, clothing incentives or taking the students of the month. As I was going to speak to you about, we have a first impression program that we're launching where students will go through an experience and look at different parts of marketing and accounting and things like that, like a career day, but on the job career day. And then after that, they get an opportunity to go, you know, get a like either a suit or you know, a polo shirt or, you know, a shirt and tie or whatever it may be to help them, whatever they choose. But again, you know, we have tons and tons and tons of resources there. And I think the students will be excited to have some kind of voucher that allows them to come in and shop for themselves.
Not
And
just
also build
students, but
relationships in the
teachers as
community.
well.
That would be
You said teachers would like that
Yeah,
too?
we need clothes too.
She did something years ago. I don't know if Paul was with me. I don't even know if they know who exactly did. She did something like she had me to come in and she was like, just dump stuff in. She said, take it to your teachers for the holiday. And she had
Yeah.
that coach scarves. Do you remember that day, Niece, when we had those coach stars and it was hats and there was a whole bunch of things. It was during the
Yeah.
holiday that she blessed us with.
We got
Can we
we got a lot of stuff like that. We got Ralph Lauren scarves. We got a lot of stuff. Y'all need to come see us. Y'all need to come see us.
I already
yeah, we
been in
coming
there.
over there tomorrow. Somebody, you got Ralph Lauren. We going over there tomorrow, bro.
But can we does like a yearbook count or like student IDs? No, can't do that.
So the student ID could, but I want y'all to think about what our priorities are on the strategic plan, which is instruction. So I'm gonna give y'all a hint. So some of the things that we don't have, we ain't putting in the money for field trips. So I'm gonna put it, but
Oh, yeah.
we got some other stuff in the
Field trips.
Yeah. So
But then I think when I think of field trips, I'm thinking about buses.
well, we got money over there for transportation. So
But besides just the regular like field trip buses, can we afford field trip buses over there?
but we could put it on right now. It's not on the other budget,
But we can add it, so we'll have enough.
yes, it's still under that student. So we can say we want to add some additional funds to the transportation line.
Okay, yeah, because that's why I did say field trip. I want books, like hard copy books, like books from like back in the day, like my day.
You want more
Like-
books for the media or classroom libraries?
Yes, I want like you know how social studies they had like a book, like you can go through everything's in there.
So that's the piece when I was talking to them that I actually on cares that we have to expend. We actually have some money now, like some money now that we can buy for social studies. Because social studies is always neglected.
Yes, we STEM. No, Mr. Murphy, STEM has gotten everything. Social studies has not gotten anything.
District wide is hurting right now.
I agree with social studies.
I'm gonna name some categories. So I'm gonna name some categories. So that we have not put funds under. So let me see. We talked about transportation. Well, I ain't put nothing for posters. We don't really web-based programs. We did put some money over on cares for web-based programs, just a little bit, because the things that are not paid for that we used to pay for turnaround, we pay for IXL, we pay for Brain Pop, we pay for Go Formative or whatever the name. It was what was it called before? What was that thing called before? USA Test Prep.
Progress learning.
Yeah, so all of that was paid for with turnaround funds. That money is gone. So I put money on cares for the web-based subscriptions. We need to put professional conferences.
Oh, yeah.
We need to put conferences. So with conferences, we need to put for travel because it's separate buckets. We got to put for travel. We have to put for the dues or the fees for registration. So let me put here. So professional learning.
I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, Ryan Clark Academy, they do professional development for a lot of teachers. And I know a lot of teachers at the academy, and they always say, well, why APS don't come and do PD? But I know we kind of have our own, we have to do PDs through the district. So I didn't know we had a choice to do PDs through like a different entity.
They conflict with the required, but they do these open days. I've been a couple of times. I really want, and that's, you know, good to experience, but I really want us to start going to some national conferences. Like
Okay.
this past week when I was gone, y'all, to Relay, and just learning and listening to people from all over, not just the country, but there were people from Europe there, from South Africa, sharing stuff and strategies and resources. I want us to get outside and see what and get resources outside of, because we all know before COVID, like other schools, used to go, and some of us used to go to different conferences, bring different information back. I want us to see what's out there beyond just APS in Atlanta. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
School-
makes sense.
School to watch conferences are good too.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially with that behavior piece, and we're looking at the culture piece, Hudson, learning some possible strategies and programs and incentives for behavior as well as, you know, recognition. So I'm gonna put professional learning opportunities.
Well, I know Ms. Hall, you just talked about PBIS. So remember we talked about PBIS a while back.
Yeah, we did. So that's something
I'll
that
listen.
we did it a long time ago, but you know, it's a lot that goes into that because you got to get that state certification.
I feel like personally, we could add a little bit of money to, like, I want to call it teacher development, and I see you're calling professional learning, but I'm thinking outside of that to help with that that classroom management piece, because in my eyes, we can blame it on teachers being new, but I can't blame it on that because you have to, if you went the traditional route, you know, you had to do student teaching, and you experience it that way. But I want to, like, team building, like to make us stronger as individuals so that when we come together, like we're able to fill in the gaps together. Because I know when you have a strong team, you know, it ain't nothing you can't do.
You need y'all ain't gonna have no paper and no resources next year, but we forgot to put more money for instruction. What y'all gonna be doing? Going up to Karen for others to get some paper and some pencils. And some
Oh, we can just have Miss
We'll help
Gordon
y'all
do
out.
a GoFundMe.
We'll help y'all out. We already talking about that now.
I'm putting it on here to put some more for instructional supplies.
What about I know you all have spoken about behavior. There are some anger management courses where your teachers can get anger management certified for. I mean, it's not expensive at all. I did it as I started my own firm.
Mr. Webb,
Send me that
Mr.
link.
Webb, are you suggesting the teachers at Long need to have anger, deal with their anger?
No, I'm not. But it would help. I mean,
Of course not.
anybody having that skill set to de-escalate and have and actually be able to conversate with the students and talk to them about emotional intelligence would definitely be good, because basically the one thing that I'm talking to a lot of adolescents about now is their ability to advocate for themselves and their ability to identify those stimulants, the things that trigger them. And once they develop that skill, you can eliminate a lot of the physical activity that they have when they start to react, because they know, okay, this triggers me. I need to avoid certain situations, or I need to plan my escape route. And when they do that, when they learn that skills, that's a survival skill. That's also a life skill that they need to know. So it helps.
I wonder if we could do a contract. So there is a line item for contracted services where we could pay a person to and do that type of training here for contracted service. Do you know approximately how much that is?
To get for a teacher to get certified?
Or if they, yeah, like per teacher, do you know approximately how
I
much?
think it was probably it was something crazy, like $200. It was not expensive.
Oh, can you send that link out today to Miss Hill or not?
Because yeah, we need that. And I was just thinking about, even if we could find a company or somebody who specializes in that could come and do, like, we can do a contract under, because there's a line item for contracted services for professional development. And we can do a contract with them to come in and provide that training. Is it online? Is it face to face? I mean, yeah,
When I got my certification, it was online, but I mean, we'll talk. I'll talk to you, but
please,
it can
definitely.
easily be done.
Okay.
I have to put my favorite, and this just doesn't even have to do with the budget, it's free. But Class Dojo really works. And I know it works if you use it correctly. It works if it's used as a positive behavior accounting, right? And I know a lot of people use it, but when I hear sometimes the kids are they're doing the exact same thing with it that they do if they don't have, they're looking at the negative instead of looking at every little positive. And I volunteered to be a trainer for Class Dojo. I don't get paid by them. It just really works for me. And I really wish other people would embrace it more because I think it's a very
Lack of training.
lack of training. Yeah, they don't know how to use it correctly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
used it, Miss Delnice. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just tired of technology. I don't like computers. And that's what it is. And I can say that it really does work and it helps because the parents can see it and it's active communication. I'm just tired of technology.
And just to add to it,
Go ahead.
I think once we, I guess, like you say, build capacity, Class Dojo could work because I think Mr. Stone uses it in his classroom as well. And the other thing I was saying before I was cut off earlier is that at my son's school, I went up to the Wendy's and got the junior Wendy things for free.
Look right here.
Baby,
I
you
got a whole
already got them.
Look.
You just gotta ask. Miss Hill always had them.
Oh, so we just need to start passing them out to the kids then.
Let me tell you. So now they look at me like, oh.
They do it. Oh, yeah,
Everybody you like a Murphy, don't mean the kids like them.
Ms.
Well, a
Hill,
lot of kids might not have gone over to Hateville to Wendy's. They don't get outside of Empire.
Oh, I know you have to leave Webb, don't you?
no, I do have to leave, but you put anger management training for students. I was saying,
I went for students. Oh, for adults.
yeah, I meant for, yeah,
I'm in adults.
okay. for
And
the
that'll
teachers.
go really good with that trauma and resilience training, Miss Hill, because it sounds like a lot of that. So I feel like if we get those two together, teachers will be able to better understand the students. I like it.
Now, as far as the dojo has to come with a sentence, right, Miss Deonese? Well, as far as like if they get the most, they get an award or something.
I mean, I use my own system. Mr. Stone uses his own system. There are different ways of rewarding kids. I mean, if you use it positively, you're basically rewarding them for even the kids that drive us crazy. There are times when they're doing what they should be doing, and they like seeing that they get recognized for that. Not punished for what they're doing that you don't like, but that day that they're doing exactly what you wish they would do, or the one time they do it and they get recognized for it. It's just like us teachers. We love it when we're recognized for the positive things we do, right? Don't we?
And I went and then I thought about you all. It's sitting in my trunk. I just got to put all my certificates and do everything for all the positive. I think being intentional about it is and then finding out what they like.
Yeah.
That's the piece that we struggle with. Because
Oh no, I can tell you everything they like.
Snacks, candy, food.
And that's the part that we struggle with, and that's where we need help, because a lot like this budget that we're talking about can't support a lot of the things that they like. Even
Yeah.
our budget, the things that the teachers really like, doing my ACEs presentation, which I'll go over quickly with you all. It actually, I'm not gonna read all the slides, I'm just gonna literally click through it. I asked, you'll see on the slide where I asked for the district to actually give us some miscellaneous funds so I can do stuff and don't have to keep giving y'all school supplies. But I can do like something like a scarf or something like a care package.
A
Like,
massage.
Mr. Webb has us. He said that Caring for Others is going to start giving us those packets coming real soon. So we don't even need to add that because we have community involvement.
Yeah, we definitely do. And the food that you talked about, That's why I said we can get together and talk, because we have resources that can get those things to you, and that might be something that does, work for the student. I mean, I know food works for the students all the time, but we can definitely sit down and see what we need to do and get it done.
All right, I'm gonna go through these last couple of slides, and because of the agenda, I gotta quickly show y'all the ACES presentation that I did on Monday. So thank you all for that feedback. Just FYI, you all will have this as a go team so that those funds come, and then normally those funds are released September, October-ish. And then also I'm gonna put on here, because you never know how much money you're gonna get. I know we've talked about instructional coach or master teacher leader for social studies. Is that one thing that we need to put on here?
Yes, because I could possibly
That'll be
get that
good.
position. Yes, put it on there.
Definitely be an interview process.
All right, so now, here, questions for the GO team to consider and discuss. Are our school's priorities, which I went through all of them, from the strategic plan reflected in this budget? So are new positions and or resources included in the budget to address our major priorities? Do we know as a team the plan to support implementation of these priorities beyond the budget? What strategies will be implemented? What trade-offs are being made in order to support these priorities? I will tell you the trade-off is I'm having to abolish some positions that are non-instructional to keep class size reduced, as well as to bring on board the reading teacher, math teacher, to give the grace of classroom time back to instruction as well, core instruction as well as connections. Other things to consider: how are district and cluster priorities reflected in our budget? Cluster priorities: what staff, materials are dedicated to supporting our cluster priorities? Signature programs: what staff, materials, etc., are dedicated to supporting our signature program? Are there positions our school would share with another school, i.e. nurses or counselors? The only position we're sharing is the school psychologist, which actually they made it 0.5 now. So that's our school psychologist we'll share with another school. We already share our lady, the lady for speech, we share her. I think those are the main ones. So any questions looking at those? Anything that pops out that you like, I don't think we captured that. All right. Where we're going, our next meeting is the budget approval meeting. So during this meeting, so this is after I go and present this, and they tear it apart and say yay or nay. During this meeting, our next meeting, we will review the budget, which should be updated based on the feedback from the staffing conference, associate superintendents, as well as key leaders. After review, the GO team will need to take action. So for that next meeting, we need everybody present so we can vote on the budget. So let me tell you how it goes. So all GO teams have to vote on the budgets before, and then from there, they're sent up. And then the board eventually votes on the overall district budget. So our budget has to be voted on so that everything can go up. All departments have to vote on their budgets, and then the board actually approves the overall budget for Atlanta Public Schools. So why? Principals will present the final budget recommendations for the GO team approval, and when all budget approval meetings must be held after the staffing conference. And I think ours is the 16th, I think. And budgets must be approved by March the 17th. And then that's what's next. Ooh, all right. I'm gonna quickly shift over real fast to, where is it?
Our next meeting is March 15th.
15th, okay, thank you, 15th. That's a Wednesday, right? Okay. So quickly, I had to do my last ACES presentation for the superintendent on Monday. These were the slides I already kind of preset, so I just want to quickly share with you all, make it a little bigger so you can see. So right now, the first slide is about GLOW. So the first one was we completed the PBLs, and also we are shifting to our CER model for to not just be about the final product, but also infusing claim evidence reasoning into our daily teaching. Also, our GROW that I share is making sure that we are supported from the district and other places as we have to make the shift from STEM to STEAM and pursue state certification in 5 years. Right now, we have 2 para vacancies. Those are both special ed vacancies. We have a vacancy for MOID para and for autism para. Right now, we have a substitute in those. Then attendance. So this is our attendance, as well as behavior. So our attendance take rate is at 99.9. The average daily attendance rate is at 89.9. I will tell you, we have been scrubbing attendance. What we are finding, and I shared this on Monday, there's no longer a policy that says when you leave a school that you have to withdraw. So, especially right now, there's a lot of mobility in our area. What we're finding, we literally have students who may register here on a Monday, and then they may come Monday and Tuesday. Then they don't come Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. And we're literally having to go and find out where children are going, like our social worker, Ms. Livingston, has been like just burning gas trying to find people. And normally what happens if they go somewhere else, they're supposed to send a records request, but we have not been getting records requests. So what that means is that basically we have to wait to the 10th day after multiple attempts before we can withdraw due to lack of attendance. That is impacting our CCRPI, that students with chronically absent, because chronically absent means that you were present, that you can't miss more than 10% of your enrollment days. That means if you were enrolled in the school for 20 days, you can't miss more than 2. Otherwise, you make this percentage go down. What we're noticing is that a lot of students who have been enrolling, I would say since December, November, December, it's like they'll enroll and then they stop coming. They may come, they may not come. And we're trying to get a handle on that. Right now, we have a lot of going across districts too. And they're not coming from other schools within the district anymore. Right now, it's coming from DeKalb County, Fulton County, Henry County, and trying to get a hold on that. All of the middle school principals, as well as the high school principals, lifted that in their ACEs. So we're asking for a solution at the district level to help us manage this. Let's see. Over here with discipline, that may look high to you, but ours was on the low side compared to the middle schools and high schools. Here you would notice the highest, and so this is to be applauded. Our SWD students, it's kind of like opposite with us. Like this number was the highest for most middle schools, not with our school, our scholars. Which I want to give shout out to our special education teachers and all teachers in the co-taught model. Also, you'll see here before the females, y'all remember I showed this before, and the females were much higher. I will tell you these numbers went up due to 2 situations that involve multiple students. And those students were either put on probation by the district or they're no longer here. But because it happened here, it sticks with us. Okay, let's see. So our data looks like the district data where all the schools took a slight dip back for the winter. And also this year we took the winter map earlier than previous years. So the whole district took a dip back. Our dip was schools. However, we will be taking the spring administration in March, the first part of March. Then here, shout out to Long Middle School with the best HMH intervention usage in the district. Yes, I said in the district. I want to say kudos to all of the teachers, not just core teachers, we teach it school-wide. Ms. Dionese, kudos to you for stepping in, leading the way. As a new teacher this semester to full-fledged, you were teaching them before in collaboration, but thank you for taking on your own class. Y'all, this is amazing. Most schools were only averaging about maybe 1.5 days. We're at 3. We surpassed the district's expectations. And I will tell you, we're going to see the benefit of this. It's going to shrink our beginning learners. Now that's why we got to put that time back in the core classes so we can accelerate students while we're also bringing them up. And for this one, this is, so this shows subgroups. One thing that, in looking at our data, so this is between fall, we took fall map in August. The winter map was taken in November, December. And there we did, and this slide doesn't show it, but we did have a number of newcomers, new to the United States, for our Hispanics. So we did see a slight dip, but I am confident that that number is going to go back up. But this was a trend that several schools were seeing. I do want to shout out special ed again, because then this is just showing proficiency or above. This is not showing developing. So before, when everything was just flat and 0, now we have some increases going. So I smile because I know that's going to be higher by the end of the year. And then I think we did this slide. So these were my asks. Consistent wireless connection. So I saw a couple of people in the building today. This drew a lot of attention because it was on my slide the first time. And they asked me, they said, have anybody done anything? I had to be honest on recording and say no. So this is a top priority. I know Hall down there where your room is, Hobson down in that little dungeon area down in there. So they will be coming out. Saw somebody in the building today, but they'll definitely be out, I know, over the break to rectify this. They did send an email out earlier today about some kind of technical fix that they're working on. Also, transportation logistics for after school all-stars. Although I pay for the buses, they were not letting, so you're going to see an email come out asking all teachers to identify their tutorial days. The problem with that is most of our students don't have a way home. So I was willing to pay for, and I am willing to pay for extra buses to hold students who want to stay after school for tutorial, not part of after school all-stars. However, transportation said they cannot give me the buses or starter routes because I got to tell them a concrete list of who's staying. Well, I don't know who's going to stay each week. And I said, why should it matter? Because guess what? I'm paying for the buses.
Ms. Hill,
Yes.
just very quickly. Right now with my 7th graders, I meet them at their lunchtime because it's my lunchtime and I tutor them there. So they don't have to stay after school. I don't have to stay after school, and I meet them.
So this came up in board meeting, the last board meeting. There is part of our contract that says that we have to give an hour of after school tutorial, and it also has to be offered to all students, so not just your 7th grade. So you'll have a link coming out where we have to identify on our return what one day we're going to give, and that was a big topic during the last district board meeting. I'm trying to get, I'm willing to pay for transportation. However, it is part of it's part of APS policy still. It was policy before, it's still in the policy, and it is part of our contract. The question is, especially for our demographics, most of the students who need to stay maybe can't stay because they don't have a way home. So there is something that will be coming out to make sure we are in adherence to the board policy and offering all students, because also looking at failure rate, we have to concretely say, I was here on Tuesday after school. Here's my sign-in sheet. Here's my evidence that I offered it and they didn't stay. So
I have a question. Since you're going to pay for the buses, school-wide, would it be the same day? Are you just getting consensus on which?
I'm gonna get consistent. I'm gonna let you all pick your day. So the
So
only day
you're gonna pay for a bus every day?
I'm not doing Friday, and I'm not doing another day. Whatever days after school all-star run, those will be the days that I put in there. I'm not doing Friday.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
It'll be
that it needs to be the same across the board.
No, I'm gonna let you all decide. I'm gonna let you all decide which day, because some students may need social studies and then they may need language arts. So I'm gonna let you all decide amongst your teams and amongst your schedule. I just need one consistent day. So I'm not gonna lock us. all into Wednesday tutorials, not. Y'all want me to like y'all into it?
No, I was thinking like maybe it could be based on like subject,
We
yeah,
had
subject
discussed
per
that
day.
with our leadership team, but I know with the sports and coach spring sports being so many and then people having their own thing. Yeah, we had discussed it, but I wasn't gonna lock it in. I can, but I was gonna give y'all some flexibility there.
Everybody doesn't need flexibility. Sometimes you have to put your foot down so that we can ensure that it's happening. And like you said, that those students might need math, but if on their team, their math teacher and their other teachers, they're the same day. That's why I just feel like if it was
So what,
content.
I'm gonna get everybody's preferred list, and then from there, it's going into a Google form. So we'll be able to look at it and say, hey, both of you are saying math on the same, say math and ELA on the same day. Can we shift it? Yeah.
So I have a question about transportation. So they're making after school, but then they're saying they're making an issue about transportation.
So they said they got to make the routes. But all I said, I need one go on this side of Cleveland, one to go on the other side of Cleveland, and one to go on Jonesboro Road. That's all I need. So we're trying to, I lifted that during my ACEs. So, you know. And then I asked for the district support with new teacher coaches, as well as, that's my ask, the last one, miscellaneous funds and or partnership to consistently celebrate and recognize faculty and staff members, academic highlights and goal setting accomplishments. All right, that is all that I have. That was a lot, and I am going to stop sharing. Woo. Paul, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill, for sharing this information. Ms. Hill did my job for me when we discussed those questions. That she had on the slide. Did anybody have any input that they wanted to add to those questions? Do I need to repeat them for you?
Back up.
Oh, no, you don't have to come back up. I got it on my speech. I can read it. So the first one, are our school's priorities from our strategic plan reflected in this budget? Our new positions and our resources included in our budget to address our major priorities? Do we as a team, do we know as a team the plan to support implement of these priorities beyond the budget? And what trade-offs are being made in order to support these priorities? We good? Okay, number 2, how are district and cluster priorities reflected in the budget? So cluster priorities, what staff materials or etc. are dictated to supporting our cluster priorities. Our signature programs, I know Ms. Hill mentioned that and where they were going to be funded at for next year. What staff materials, etc. are dedicated to supporting our signature programs, and are there positions our school will share with another school? And she already answered that. I know we share Ms. Matthias, and we just found out we will be sharing our clinical therapist.
Clinical therapist is here.
Oh no, what was the therapist you said we were going to share?
Psychologist.
Yeah, the psychologist.
We've been sharing him anyway, so.
Oh, that's Mr. Yeah, Batiste. All right.
4, we won't be sharing him with 3 schools. It'll just be 2 of us sharing.
Okay. So we will now move on to the information items. First is the principal's report.
That's what I did, the ACEs.
Okay, she already did her principal report. Thank you, Ms. Hill. We'll now hear, do we have any other information?
One additional thing, so the position is posted. They will start the interviewing process, so they're gonna reach out to you all. Probably once we come back from the break in March to start that whole process of, I did find out that the meetings, when they develop the profile of who they want, they are going to be virtual. So they were trying to look at that timeline, but they will start in March. And they hope to have someone named and before the board by April.
Are you talking about the principal position?
Yeah. She's talking about her job.
But I will be April, May. No, it may be May board member because they got to go through that whole, the 4 tiers. So it should be probably May board. But ideally what they would like is so that it's a transition there. So I'm still here to June, but so that we can start transitioning.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Hill, for that information. Announcements. We do have an announcement from the Go Team office. Declarations for Go Team elections are open until February the 28th. We need both parent, guardian, and non-supervisory instructional staff candidates. If you are interested and or know of anyone else who would be a good fit for our team, please direct them to apssstrongschools.com to declare their candidacy. If you have any questions, contact the Go Team office. Does anyone have any additional announcements?
Yes, I had a question. For the cluster meeting, when's our next cluster meeting? Because I know Ms. Devnice wanted to know. I didn't have an answer.
You
Okay.
got it. They send out emails about those, so and I don't think they've sent out the email just yet.
I know it's supposed to be 3 a year. They said something like 3 a year. I know we had 2. So I'm assuming.
Yeah, I know that. I haven't heard anything.
You
I
heard
see
anything?
tomorrow doing principals meeting. I asked.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more announcements? All right. We have reached the end of our agenda. If there's any business at this, is there any additional business at this time? Nope. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I have a motion.
I move that we motion to adjourn this meeting.
Slow down. A second.
I second.
All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please raise your hand and say
Put your
nay.
hands down, Ms. Hill. They think you for it.
Thank you, Ms. Webb. All right.
Any abstentions?
Nope.
Please raise your hand. Murphy, stop.
Oh, sorry.
The time now is 7:25. The